When the CEO of the fourth biggest car manufacturer in the world flies to Italy just to have a meeting with one F1 driver, you know something serious is happening behind the scenes. But here's what Ford's Jim Farley discovered in that Monza meeting with Max Verstappen that has everyone at Red Bull worried. What happens if their engine project fails and Max walks away? Why is Verstappen already preparing for life after Formula One by earning racing licenses at the Nürburgring? And could Red Bull become the next Alpine, a team destroyed by their own engine ambitions? The answers to these questions could determine whether Red Bull remains a championship contender or becomes just another fallen Goliath like Williams. The numbers tell a brutal story about Red Bull's current situation. Max Verstappen has scored 96% of the team's points this season. Think about that for a moment. Without Verstappen, Red Bull would be competing in the midfield alongside teams they used to dominate. This isn't just about one driver carrying a team. This is about one driver being the only thing preventing a complete collapse. Ford didn't sign up to partner with Red Bull to make engines for a team fighting at the bottom of the Constructors' Championship. According to reports, they want to be battling for glory at the front end of the grid, ensuring their name is associated with F1 success. But what they've witnessed this season has clearly rattled them. They've seen Red Bull struggle with their current car. They've watched Verstappen's visible frustration grow. And most concerning of all, they've seen Toto Wolff circling like a predator, already admitting to holding talks with Verstappen's camp about a potential switch to Mercedes. The timing of Ford CEO Jim Farley's intervention at Monza wasn't coincidental, it was damage control. On the surface, the Monza meeting seemed successful. Verstappen confirmed he'll be staying with Red Bull next season, and everyone appeared to be saying the right things. Speaking about Max remaining at Red Bull, Farley told Sky Sports News, "I think this is one of the most important pillars of foundation for the PU's success." The new team structure under Laurent Mekies also seemed promising. Following his surprisingly dominant pole and win at Monza, Verstappen stated that Mekies' engineering background has worked really well, asking the right questions and pointing the team in the right direction. This was a stark contrast to former boss Christian Horner, who Verstappen subtly criticized for taking a scattergun approach of extreme changes, which just made problems worse. Even Farley endorsed the leadership change, saying, "I can clearly see the impact Lawrence had. He's a technical person, which is exactly right for this change in 2026. He's absolutely the right leader." But here's what makes this apparent stability more fragile than it appears. Before we dive into what's really happening behind the scenes, there's something crucial you need to understand about why Ford is so desperate to keep Verstappen, and it has nothing to do with his current contract. But first, if you want to catch all the drama and analysis leading up to the 2026 F1 season when everything changes, make sure to hit that subscribe button. The engine revolution is coming, and you won't want to miss how it unfolds. The data reveals a different story than the public statements suggest. While everyone praised the harmony at Red Bull, there's a critical vulnerability that Ford has identified. Verstappen is already planning his exit strategy from Formula One. At just 27 years old, Verstappen could theoretically drive for another 20 years in Formula One. But he's been consistently honest about his intentions. He doesn't want to do Formula One until he has to retire from motor racing. And the evidence shows he's actively preparing for that transition. The weekend revealed Verstappen's first concrete step toward his post-F1 career. He spent his time earning a DMSB permit. The licensed drivers need to compete in the Nürburgring Nordschleife in top-level cars, including the GT3 class. This wasn't just a casual weekend activity, it was strategic career planning. Verstappen completed the requirement of 14 laps over the course of a 4-hour race, split between two Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 CS cars. Even when he sustained damage in qualifying and couldn't fully meet all conditions, the DMSB committee reviewed his case and decided to grant him the license anyway. The impact was immediate and telling. Saturday's race, which featured Verstappen, attracted roughly 2 million streams on YouTube. Sunday's round, without him, dropped to under 500,000. The previous round in mid-August had less than 100,000 streams. Verstappen doesn't just drive cars, he moves entire audiences. Here's what this pattern suggests for Red Bull and Ford's engine project. Verstappen is now eligible to compete in the top class of the Nürburgring 24 hours, something he's described as a major goal. Speaking about the legendary circuit, he said, "There is only one circuit like the Nordschleife. To race here for 24 hours in a GT3 car would be amazing." The timing becomes significant when you consider that the 2026 Nürburgring 24-hour race happens on May 15th to 17th, a weekend that conveniently is free of an F1 race. This gives Verstappen a perfect opportunity to pursue his other racing interests without conflicting with his F1 commitments. But here's the critical issue for Red Bull. They're asking Verstappen to stick with them through their most challenging period, while he's already building bridges to his future outside F1. They need him to carry the team through the engine transition that Toto Wolff compared to climbing Everest. Without Verstappen, Red Bull doesn't have a driver capable of competing with the McLaren pair, George Russell or Charles Leclerc. While Nyck de Vries might look promising for the future, 16 races in one season isn't enough evidence that he can fill Verstappen's shoes. This creates a fascinating dynamic heading into 2026. Red Bull and Ford are betting everything on an untested engine package, relying entirely on a driver who's already planning his next career move. Ford's Jim Farley spoke about Verstappen providing stability without drama in an environment where we're all just trying to do our jobs. But what happens when that environment becomes more challenging? What happens if their engine project struggles like Alpine's has? The engine regulations change in 2026, which should theoretically level the playing field. But building a competitive F1 engine remains one of the hardest tasks in motorsport. Red Bull previously suffered with a Renault engine that was well below par during the turbo hybrid era. Can they avoid repeating that mistake with their own power unit? Could Verstappen become the second driver ever to achieve motor racing's Triple Crown? The evidence suggests he's certainly positioning himself for opportunities beyond Formula One. And with the 2026 season representing Red Bull's biggest gamble in years, the stakes couldn't be higher. What do you think? Is Verstappen already planning his F1 exit, or is this just smart career diversification? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe for more F1 analysis as we head toward the biggest regulation change in years.